lockdown, I was navigating the distance learning journey, same as most teachers around the world. I also had a daughter, Haya, who joined me in this journey, but as a student as well, not just as a daughter. I tried to support her for the first few weeks, and I got overwhelmed. I couldn't catch up with all the assignments and work she had to submit by the end of each day, especially that she was 6 years old, and I also had my online classes that I need to teach. So I decided to take a step back and look at the picture as a whole from a new perspective. We had some talks discussing different ways working on this, and we both agreed that she can do as much as she could, and I'll step in for support on challenging activities after my teaching hours. One day, I had my brother over for dinner when he told me that he had discovered my daughter's YouTube channel, where she made random videos while she was singing, dancing, or just drawing. I didn't know how to feel about this. I didn't know how to deal with it. Should I feel just, alarmed that she has a YouTube channel, public, with my house pinned, Motor City? Or should I, feel proud that my daughter did something I didn't know how to do? And this is where I started my journey on digital parenting. When I first became a parent, I read some books like What to Expect When Expecting. I took some courses that would help me prepare for this journey. But there was nothing to rely on in terms of helping children deal with the digital world. I started my research, and most of the articles I read recommended that you keep your kids away from the screen. Be vigilant and aware of the content that your child is watching. Okay, that's great. However, during a pandemic, I saw that my daughter enjoyed the virtual Zoom calls. She still likes to do it after school hours, even when the lockdown is over. So she even knew how to subscribe her favorite YouTube channels. She introduced YouTubers to me whom I haven't heard about before. I realized that I couldn't merely rely on other people's opinions or tips on how they manage their children's screen time and discipline, but I found out that I can learn some tips and bend it to suit my vision and my parenting values. I decided to be more aware of the parenting styles and to see which style I will choose to deal with in this digital era. So what are the main parenting styles and which one is the most effective to deal with to raise critical thinkers who can distinguish what would be the best decision when they are with screens and smart devices most of the time? Diana Bomarant, a development psychologist, points out the four main styles: permissive, authoritative, neglectful, and authoritarian. Each parenting style has different effect on the children's behavior and can be identified by specific characteristics. Permissive parents are more likely to take the friendship role with their children rather than the parenting role. They prefer to avoid conflict, and they often surrender to their kids' pleas at the first sign of distress. They let their kids do what they want, and they offer limited guidance and direction, relying on their kids' intuition and preference of choices. Let's go to my role models. Authoritative parents. They're nurturing, supportive, and often in tune with their children's needs. Kids who have authoritative parents tend to be self-disciplined and can think for themselves. They teach their children values through open and honest discussions. Third parenting style is neglectful parenting. They're sometimes referred to as uninvolved parenting. They don't have much engagement with their children, and they rarely implement any rules. They're sometimes seen as cold or uncaring, but not always intentionally, as they often struggle with their issues. Last one is the authoritarian parenting, the tough love one. Authoritarian parents talk to their children without wanting input or feedback. They don't give much option or space for the child to decide or choose most of the time. So after we learned enough about parenting, we might be wondering, how can we maintain our humanity, empathy, and being real in this digital era? And how can we guide our children through this without losing their identity? There's no one correct answer here, but we could lay some guiding stones on the way that would lead us to what we want. One of these guiding stones is by being authoritative parents, trying to be understanding and respectful to our children's space, to get closer to them, to build a positive relationship, to let them feel safe, to come and open up and tell us about what's going on in their life, to agree on the expectations when they are in different social platforms. I know it might look hard, but as long as we are aiming for this, we are on the right track. A second guiding stone is by highlighting good examples to our children, like the Kuwaiti YouTuber Hassan Sulaiman or Abu Falla, who received 2 Guinness World Records for the longest live stream and the highest amount of viewers for a charity donation campaign where he raised almost $10 million for refugees around the world only at the age of 24. During my research, it was really shocking and disappointing that the first thing you find when you Google digital parenting was parental control. In my head, I was like, why did they expect that we're all authoritarian? I agree that there should be some control, but we'd rather be guiding rather than controlling our kids' decisions. We need to know what really attracts our children's attention on social media, which YouTube channels they like to watch and why. What do they really think of all these TikTok trends? What is appropriate and what's not? Our children's generation, or Gen Z, as the previous speakers defined themselves, it's the generation who doesn't know what life looks like without the internet. They came into a world with the internet, smart devices, Google Maps, Alexa and Siri answering their questions. They're born to swipe. They are the digital natives, and that's their world. As their parents, our generation is called the millennials, or Generation Y. We lived in both eras, with and without the internet. And we have some difficulties coping with the amount of new information coming through social media. And here comes our third guiding stone. We need to think of ways to reduce the gap between both generations. We can explain things to our children so they understand our logic and reasoning. They can't just accept orders without understanding our thinking behind it. I'm not saying here who's right or who's wrong, authoritarian or authoritative. I'm just trying to say that showing the human part of us as parents will help our children to find the human part in themselves and cope with a digital world full of good and bad choices. And this will lead us to our final and most important guiding stone. Learn to live the real world as well. The art of communication and interaction, the power of eye contact, a soothing smile, and an assuring shoulder pat. Our children must learn that having fun with a friend in a park is much more rewarding than connecting through electronics. They must be retaught when they need to lay their digital gadgets aside. The interaction is the key and cannot be replaced with the smartest innovation ever invented or yet to be. This is the milestone where we take off as parents. This is the main purpose of parenting. By interacting with our children, we will be embracing the culture, traditions, and roots. We must retrieve the values that we are in danger of leaving behind if we fall into the trap of neglectful parenting. So, after a journey of digital parenting and learning, we can learn that being vulnerable and change is powerful. And we need to dare to change and bring out the best in us to raise wholehearted generations who have the sense of worthiness and can conquer and lead a metaverse future. Thank you. Shukran.